This episode is the monthly Moonshine for November 2019. Kristina Wingeier gives us the download on all of the planetary changes. Listen for special highlights on 11/11 and a lovely and meaningful surprise on November 24th. Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to the Moonshine episode of the Flower Lounge with Kristina Wingeier, our astrologer, here to talk about November 2019. How you doing, Kristina?
Hi. I'm good. How are you, Katie?
I'm good. I'm really looking forward to this month.
I am too, actually. I can't believe it's November, though. That's just frightening how quickly this year has flown by, just faster and faster.
I know, almost to 2020.
2020, it's a big one, but yes. Things are really, I also think really that like the gears are really turning. Like some of this big 2020 astrology has, we've been talking about it for such a long time. And towards the end of the year, things really start to click into place and things get more active toward the big things that are happening next year. So the big news, of course, is what happened yesterday on Halloween, right? Was Mercury stationing retrograde. So that is, of course, going to be a primary occurrence, a thing, a transit, whatevs that's happening through the 20th of November. So the first 3 weeks, we have the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. And so for those of you out there who like to look at your natal charts, this is happening between 27 and then going back all the way to 11 degrees Scorpio. So that's the little territory that Mercury is going back and forth over, okay? So that's a big theme. We have some sign changes. So Venus is going to change signs twice this month, and she's going to get happier, especially with the first sign change. Mars is going to switch gears as well, and that is going to be sweet relief for poor Mars in Libra that's been getting beat up and not getting its agenda put forward. So that's going to be really wonderful. Of course, we're going to have that shift from Scorpio to Sagittarius season when the sun changes signs later in the month. And our full moon's going to be in Taurus, which is going to be really yummy and delicious. Our new moon's going to be in Sagittarius. And speaking of Sagittarius, this is the last month that Jupiter is going to be in Sagittarius. This has been one of the, if not like even though not all planets would make aspects to Jupiter all the time, you could always rely on the moon once a month saying hello to Jupiter through conjunction and through like trines and things like that. And Jupiter has been a hopeful light, a very good thing. Jupiter in Sagittarius is happy and generous and expansive, sometimes overdoes it, but still it's been a good thing all year long. And it's about to be over. So it's the final month of Jupiter in Sagittarius with a couple of really sweet things to kind of say goodbye with. So I don't know if those are actually themes, but those are like the main, I'd say, astro talking points for our November. Sound good?
Sounds great. Okay, let's get into it. What's the first thing we want to look for?
So we're going to talk about the weekend. We begin the month on a Friday, a Venus day, and Venus, our gal, our lovely lady, she's moving into Sagittarius. She has been in Scorpio, just working hard and getting really intimate and really deep, but it's not her favorite place to be. She likes to have fun. She likes to play. And so the shift from Scorpio into Sagittarius is going to be very uplifting. It's fire. It's mutable fire. So, girl just wants to have fun. Optimistic, generous, needs freedom to explore, really seeking higher truths, okay? So this is happening most of the month through the 25th. So we have a good 3+ weeks where Venus just really gets spicy and fun and just freewheeling after, some intensity in Scorpio. Because again, Scorpio is not her favorite place. That's Mars's house, and she's not always super jazzed to be there. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek. I'll talk about it as we get there. But on the 24th, the day before she switches signs, is a happy day. So just mark that date down. And I'll tell you.
Wait, I'm confused. 24th?
11/24?
Oh.
What are you confused about? Tell me.
Wait, Venus moves into Sagittarius November 1st?
Yes, but the 24th is a special day for Venus.
Okay.
I'm just giving you a little this is called an astro teaser, not a strip tease. It's an astro tease. Well, I guess an astro tease might be part of a strip tease, but I digress. Okay.
Okay, what happens on the 24th?
It's Venus in Sagittarius. I'm going to tell you when we get there. Just make a note of it.
Oh, I see. You're not.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way. No, I'm not telling you yet. I'm just saying there's a surprise. Okay. A surprise is coming.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let this astrologer have fun with you. All right. And so when she moves into Sagittarius, she's in fire. And so that weekend, she will make a trine to Chiron in Aries. And this feels to me as though it's going to liberate some stuck energy with the Chiron in Aries. Chiron's retrograde, so Chiron's in that review. Of course, Chiron is the wounded healer, right? Where you transform old owies into medicine for growth and really evolution, right? And so I just feel like this little kiss from Venus, with the mutable energy, just helps to liberate some kind of stuck energy. So I feel like the weekend will be Mercury retrograde-ish, Day of the Dead, that weekend as well, all weekend long, right? That celebration. So things might be moving more slowly and going really deep, but there is this kind of top note, with Venus in Sagittarius. So that's nice. And I love that she changes signs on her day, on her Venus day. All right. So that's the weekend. And then week one, it's like weekend is like the annex, I guess, or the prelude to the month. We begin the week Monday, the 4th, with the first quarter moon. So we start out with a major kind of moon phase, one of the 4 major phases. And in Aquarius, the moon is going to make a trine to Mars in Libra. So Mars has been having a hard time in Libra because there's too much thinking going on and Mars wants to take action. But this trine from the quarter moon in Aquarius is going to bring some new insights into collaborative strategies, right? Because that's the best thing that Mars can do in Libra is to figure out how to collaborate, right? Maybe not getting all of its desires fulfilled, taking too much time and too much thinking, but it's going to be, really important to kind of look for those strategies because on the following day, Tuesday, the 5th of November, we've got a Mars-Pluto square. Owie, squares are no fun. And Mars and Pluto are kind of heavy hitting. Mars is definitely at a disadvantage, right? Because Mars is in Libra, not really able to get its agenda moving forward as quickly as possible. And so with Mars and Pluto, whenever we have Pluto, of course, one of the key phrases we think about is power struggles, right? And Mars is slightly confrontational sometimes. So this could really be conversations that feel confrontational or aggressive. But really, when I think about Pluto being Lord of the underworld, I think about letting go of the old rules of engagement, of the way that you have these verbal conflicts, because they're really just weighing you down. And if you can prune and if you can let go, right, then you can become empowered, right, rather than trying to seek to put your power over and dominate a conversation. So you've got to take that first quarter moon in Aquarius and look for those insights, because Tuesday there may be some power struggles going on, especially verbally, I would say. Does that make sense?
It does. And can I just say, if you say Mars feels like it's not able to get its agenda moving, does that mean you, the listener, might feel like you're not able to get your agenda going?
Absolutely. I would definitely look to, if you wanted to nuance it, I would look to Libra and Capricorn in your chart to see those areas of life where you may feel that things aren't moving as quickly as you want them to, or where there's actually potentially some pre-patterned conflict already in your chart because they square each other, those signs. But yes, with Mars is our action planet, right? And our desire planet. And Mars in Libra is in a sign of detriment. And so we're feeling frustrated because there's just too much thinking. You know how when you have those conversations trying to solve a problem, you just kind of go around and around and you just can't stop talking. You really just want to move it forward, but you're just not done figuring it out. It's kind of like that. So I think we're all could probably point to some area in our life where that's happening. And I would link up those two houses to see the life areas where the conflict's coming from, and then where, like, that would be maybe Mars, right? And then with Pluto, where you need to let go, where you need to clear something old away that's just like dead weight. Make sense?
Totally.
Cool. So that's the beginning of the week. So the beginning of the week requires some effort because the first quarter moon is a square. The Mars square to Pluto is a square. And these squares, they're a little bit of friction, and it's little roadblocks. So it requires some effort to get through. I'm really encouraging everyone to look for some of those strategies, or even to take some time to think of new strategies for the week around maybe the people that you get into conflict with regularly at work, or somebody who you happen to be in a conflict with before you even start the week, maybe even Sunday night, right? When Venus is trining Chiron and you're feeling like some movement in some of your pain or some of the places where you're feeling stuck, that would be a good place to come up with some strategies and some new ideas, Aquarius, to kind of liberate yourself from your own self-sabotage. Because that's what it is, right? You keep having the same argument with the same person over and over again, hoping for a new result. It's insanity. All right, so that's Monday, Tuesday. And then the next thing that week is on Friday, the 8th of November. And so what's happening today is subtle, but sweet. It's something we need to pay attention to because it's the third time it's happened this year. And these are these connections between Saturn and Capricorn and Neptune and Pisces. Now they're connected by this aspect called a sextile. It's a 60-degree angle. And the thing about sextiles is they're kind of like mini trines. Like trines are flowing and everything's feeling really good and coming really easily. And a sextile is way smaller than that. It's like a silver lining. And you have to look for the silver lining, right? You have to make some effort. It's not as loud as a trine. You've got to put in some effort to access the benefits of the aspect. And so this is the third time that Saturn and Neptune have made this sextile this year. The first time was January 31st, and they were both direct at that time. Then it was June 18th, when they were both retrograde, and now November 8th, and Neptune is retrograde. And so this is really about harmonizing your material and spiritual worlds, right? Saturn is the discipline to Neptune's spiritual and creative practices and processes. So this has been happening. It's little like sextiles all year long. And this is a third one. It's been a nice thing. And it's going to be done. So that's happening on Friday. And so the sun happens to also kind of get involved in this conversation. And the sun always brings conscious awareness to the process, right? So the sun will make a trine to Neptune. And so that means the ideas and the connection feels like it's in flow, right? There's no barriers there. And then the sun will make the sextile to Saturn. So there's some effort required to bring that vision, right, into form. You have all the ideas, but how do you make it real, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think what I might then kind of conclude is you might want to look back to January and June, when those first two connections were made, and see what is coming forward for you, right? Look to Neptune and Pisces in your chart, Capricorn, where Saturn is. These are transits, of course, not your natal planets, but those parts of your chart are being activated by this. 15 degrees is the degree, I believe. 15 degrees, yes. So that's that. That's Friday, the 8th. And then the weekend, we have a Mercury. Mercury is, of course, retrograde, right? And Mercury is making a sextile to Pluto. Now, this is what I want you to think about, because Mercury is retrograde, so Mercury is review, right? Going back over territory already covered. So we're going to see this repeating conversation where Mercury is going to make conversations with Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune. And they happened last month when Mercury was direct. And so now the retrograde's happening. So it's happening again. It's like pinging something. And with the sextile to Pluto, we're Back then, I was talking about insights into communication patterns. So we're picking up the threads, right? Really able to see these subconscious thought forms if you're willing to look into your own shadow material, right? That's what this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, gothy, spooky, is all about. And so making some connections and perhaps even letting go of more dead weight, ideas, ways of conversing, ways of thinking that are just really too much, not working and just making you exhausted. So that sextile is a nice connection. Again, you're going to have to look for it. You got to work to earn the beauty of the sextile. It's not loud like a trine. Any questions on week 1 before I move on?
So that whole vibe will be sort of like that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the weekend. So it's like kind of like busy at the beginning of the week and then the weekend, right? You're going to be adjusting to the Mars-Pluto square all week long. and then you come up to this little like, oh, I could find the silver lining now, right? And it's like concluding an aspect pattern that's been repeating itself in my chart somewhere, connecting this discipline and focus with creativity and spirituality and my dreams. So it's pretty nice, I think, really. I mean, I like Scorpio season, South Node in Scorpio. So what are you going to do? Some people don't.
I love Scorpio season. Me
too. What's not to love? All right, week 2. So this is an exciting beginning of the week. There's like a bam, 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 bam going on. Starting on Monday, 11/11. I love it. With the Mercury Cazimi. So Mercury's retrograde. And of course, during the retrograde cycle, Mercury makes a conjunction with the sun, that exact aspect where we get the magical kind of moment of, the king's listening to me, the sun, I'm in the heart of the sun, and I can ask for a wish, or I can get some information, something can come forward, something can be revealed. And this Mercury in this retrograde Cazimi is close to Earth, and the sun is behind Mercury. And because of that, we've got something super cool happening called a Mercury transit of the sun. So now this is an astronomy thing, and there's about 13 of these per century. So it's pretty rare. It's not like it's not as rare as a Venus transit, but it is rare, right? The last time we had a Mercury transit was May of 2016, and we won't have another one until November of 2032. So what happens is, because Mercury and the sun are conjunct, right? With the transit, if you have the right equipment, like do not just go out looking at the sun, A, because you won't be able to see it because Mercury is tiny. It's going to look like a speck of dust. B, because you'll freak out your eyes, right? You don't want to do that. You'll need to go to an observatory, or if you know someone who has a telescope that's like at least 50% magnification is what I read, with a solar filter, so you can look at an eclipse, then you can look at it. And it takes about 5 hours. It's kind of happening all morning long. And it's going to be this little dot moving across the face of the sun. So cool, right? But if you think about it, the Cazimi, which is usually hidden, is in view. So there's this kind of like double, like coming out from the dark, right? Into Scorpio. So that's like the deep, recessy kind of closets and skeletons and goopy places. And so I just feel as though this is a very magical thing on 11/11. It's happening at 18 degrees Scorpio in your chart. So that's like
11/11.
11/11.
It's going to be all over social media.
It's all over social media. I hope so. And you know what? Note that, because Pacific time zone wise, when Mercury stations direct on the 20th, it's at 11:11 a.m. So Mercury's doing some serious magician stuff this time around. I think it's pretty cool that there's this transit of Mercury. And of course it has to happen at the Cazimi, but it just feels really magical. And it feels like there's going to be something revealed that's been hidden. And that is what Mercury retrograde in Scorpio feels like it's doing, is like going to the bottom of the sea to kind of find something that's buried in the sand and bring it up to surface, right? And so, yeah.
And I think I interrupted you. Were you saying that if you want to specifically know to your chart what, something about what that is that's being revealed, you would look at 18 degrees Scorpio?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would if it was you. And this is a new Mercury cycle. Mercury goes through its cycle rather quickly. A synodic cycle is this relationship with its sun. And the cycle begins with the inferior or retrograde close to Earth Cazimi. So this is like, if most of us are familiar with the lunar cycle and the new moon. This is kind of like Mercury's new moon phase. So you can plant seeds to kind of work with over the Mercury cycle. I've just been studying the Mercury cycle because I'm always studying things to learn more. And it's pretty cool, this cycle that Mercury goes through several times a year with the retrograde. So that's exciting.
Wait, hold on. So if you were just talking about new moon is a great time to plant seeds and start new things, how would that be different from Mercury's that?
Well, I would focus on the mind, right? New moon, a lot of times we think about the sign that the moon is in, because the moon goes through all the signs throughout the year. And so we're just kind of working through the zodiac in this way. And we're looking at the house that new moon is in. And we work through every single house of our natal chart throughout the year, right? So you can definitely look to Scorpio and what part of your chart, what house is Scorpio, and what about that life area do you want to set a new kind of mindset around? But I would really think about Mercury itself and the capacity of, thinking and movement. Mercury is about movement, ideas, conversations, the way your nervous system works, like the neural pathways, the ways you think. And with Scorpio, fixed water, what is fixed water? Well, it's ice. Maybe we're thawing out. Mercury's really close to the sun. Maybe that heat can help you thaw out some really rigid ideas, and you can come up with a new idea about that part of your life where 18 degrees Scorpio is. I mean, that's what I would do. That's what I'm going to do.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah. And of course, you want to go deeper with that, reach out and book a consult, because I take it many, many layers deeper, because I'm looking at all kinds of things when I can see your chart. This is just very broad strokes. So that's on the Monday, and then Tuesday's the full moon. So here we go, right? What's being revealed? That's what full moons do. They reveal things. So the full moon is in Taurus. The sun is in Scorpio. The moon is in Taurus. And of course, since Mercury and the sun are together from the Cazimi, that means the moon is opposite. So the moon can see the Cazimi, right? Directly. It's an opposition. So it's kind of like, again, what's coming to light, right? And with the moon in Taurus, so I always think about the ruler of the moon, which is Venus in Sagittarius. Venus rules Taurus. So Venus in Sagittarius is the ruler. And she's like footloose and fancy free in Sagittarius. She's feeling all good. She's moving toward her special date with destiny that I haven't told you what's happening yet. And in Taurus, the moon is said to be exalted. So it's a very comfortable moon. It's Taurus, so it's like very sensual. This is a time to enjoy the simple things, to slow down and just have a really beautiful meal, or go for a leisurely walk, or go in the mud bath. Like, slow it down, take some time. Been a lot of changes and things going on. This is just like really stabilizing and yummy. And Mars in Libra makes one of those little sextiles to Jupiter on this full moon. So that kind of helps Mars get his desire fulfilled a little bit. Right after the squares to Saturn and Pluto, Mars is finally like, well, someone just help me out. And Jupiter's like, sure, son, I'll help you out. So, it might start to feel like things are beginning to get grounded and more stable after it's been a bumpy, really ever since solstice. No, what was that called? Equinox. It's been kind of bumpy. So it feels like, oh, this is kind of nice. The new moon was intense in Scorpio. This is like, okay. So that's nice, right? Any questions on the full moon, or any ideas about, what you might do for a ritual or something, Katie?
Lying in the mud sounds great, but let's see, it's November. It'll be cold for a lot of people in the Northern Hemisphere. Gosh, I'm just thinking, like, we'll be in Costa Rica. That's there's so many great things happening.
Oh, wow. You'll be enjoying that
during
in
that
a
week.
really beautiful way. Yeah. The senses, the body, the simple pleasures, like, I don't know, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, complex, right? What's simple? What's solid and simple and delicious?
Chocolate, fruit,
Yeah. In
painting,
your life.
poetry,
Poetry.
music.
Yeah, music for sure. And so, yeah, just make some time for yourself. You know, if you have it is a Tuesday, right? So, but still, you can definitely make a special evening. Like maybe go out to dinner on a Tuesday. Maybe it's something that you would do on Friday, you do on a Tuesday even.
Nice. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, listeners, you now have permission to celebrate your Tuesday evening as if it were a Friday evening.
Or if you have a day off next month, just take it off and enjoy that full moon. Why not? Take the day off. Ferdinanding, that's what I think about with Taurus. I think about Ferdinand the Bull and how Taurus loves to Ferdinand, which is smell the flowers. When I have clients who are Taurian and have a hard time with their Taurus energy, I will always invite them to have more Ferdinanding in their life to not have to worry so much.
Lie on the couch and smell flowers.
Yeah, or just slow down and just like allow yourself to just wander, right? Yeah. Be delighted by what, look down at your feet and see what's there. Maybe there's something delightful right there and you hadn't even recognized it because you were all up in your head with Mercury and you were all like, psychic surgery and whatnot. So that's Tuesday, full moon, 19 degrees, Taurus. And then Wednesday, Mercury day, moon moves into Gemini. So just know that the moon is now starting to wane and starting to disperse the information and is super chatty in Gemini, right? It's Mercury day, Mercury's retrograde. And this is a day where the sun's going to make a connection to Pluto called the sextile. There's lots of sextiles this month. They're tiny little aspects, but they're lovely, really. And this is going to help you dig deep to find the resolve you need, right? To kind of amp in the conversations that you might be having when Mercury has a couple of connections later in the day. So again, whenever the sun and Pluto, it's a sextile. So that's a nice angle, but sun and Pluto, power dynamics, right? And again, power from within, letting go of defense mechanisms and really trying to just, amplify your own potency for yourself just to get stronger and letting go of things that are really outdated and just keeping you kind of stuck in your own muck. Mercury is retrograde still and still picking up messages from a month ago when Mercury made these same aspects when it was direct. What's up? Why are you giggling?
Mercury is still retrograde.
Still retrograde, still going slow. Actually at a fast point in its retrograde, really. I'm like sweating bullets over here. It's so freaking hot. And I'm in the room without the fan, so you guys don't have to have the awful noise while I record. But I wish I was sitting in a refrigerator right now. This astrologer doesn't do well in 92 degrees. Okay, so those aspects, again, they happened mid-month last month. The sextile to Saturn, practical solutions and important conversations, and the trine to Neptune, right? Creative thinking, increased intuition, deep, profound conversations, right? So, and it's just a lot going on between Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces in your chart. And it's these repeat aspects with Mercury in the retrograde position. So this reviewing, like, oh yeah, I remember that thing that happened and it's coming up again. And how am I going to decide to do something different, right? What's a new solution?
Just to make sure I caught all the details there, you're saying that what's happening around Wednesday, November 13th is pinging us back to a time in the month of September?
October.
Oh, October, right.
Yeah, mid-month, the 13th and the 15th to be exact. Yeah, we're pinging back and we're going to ping forward again. This is the mid-ping, right? Mercury is making 3 little passes to all these planets, to Neptune and Pisces and Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn. The first time happened in October when Mercury is direct. Now it's happening with the Mercury retrograde. So we're pinging back to it and we're kind of like, oh, let me reevaluate this, right? And then we'll ping forward later when Mercury goes direct. Yes. So, repeated themes. It happens when the same aspect gets activated. And again, a lot of sextiles. So looking for the benefits and kind of putting a little effort to find them. But again, trining Neptune. So I really do feel like there's a lot of compassion that is to be had from that trine from Neptune, right? And that Neptune trine can help dissolve any barriers. They can also kind of make you crazy and delusional because Neptune can do that. But let's just go for the like going to dissolve the barriers and bring some more compassion online, because that's always a good thing, right? All right. And then, so that's Wednesday. And then the next day, Venus then in Sagittarius makes a connection to Neptune called a square. So there's a little bit of like, squares again, we got to readjust. We got some kind of like, situation that we're like not so happy with. It requires us to come up with a new trajectory. So again, Neptune's going to help dissolve any blocks, but I think that what's going to happen is maybe the rose-colored glasses are going to come off a little bit if you're brave enough to take them off. I mean, the square could also just like, you could just put them on tighter and like ignore everything and keep on doing what you're doing. But if you want to work with this in a way that's going to help shift your reality, right, then this is a great day. If you notice like, wow, that really didn't pan out like I thought it was going to. Like that was kind of a fantasy, right? It wasn't a dream it was a fantasy. Like there's a difference between dreaming and visioning and this kind of, living towards something that you're, reaching towards an expansion with Sag and Pisces, and like a fantasy where you're going off the rails with some kind of delusion, right? And so some people are going to go off the rails. We'll just see what's happening on the world stage because people are going off the rails. But you, my friends, have the opportunity to kind of just really take a good look at things with, and figure out what's real and what's not. And sometimes that disillusionment is necessary to growth. Like what you were thinking was working and you're like, wow, it really isn't working. And you could keep ignoring that, or you could see it for what it is and make a change, right? So Sag and Pisces are the signs in your chart that you want to look to see again what parts of your life might this dynamic be happening in. And that brings us to the end of week 2. So week 3. So the energies really begin to shift gears this week because on late night Monday, where I live, and then it's going to be Tuesday for some people on the East Coast and Europe and Australia and things like that, 18th, 19th, Mars moves into Scorpio. Mars is like, oh, hell yeah. Okay, Mars is so happy. Mars is so happy through January 3rd. So this is from detriment, Libra, right, to rulership. To like, I was just in this territory that really is kind of not so comfortable for me. And now I've stepped into a country where I speak the language. I'm fluent in the language. I know all the customs. I know exactly how to get what I want here. I've got power here. I've got currency. So that's what Mars, and Mars, of course, is, again, action and desire, right? So there's an activation of desires in your Scorpio house. Ooh, sounds kind of kinky. And it will be moving over that Mercury retrograde territory. So I really do feel like Mars is playing this important role in helping, especially once Mercury is direct. They won't come into contact for a while, but Mars is going to start going over the terrain that Mercury was retrograde in once it gets to 11 degrees. Not for a minute, but still, just this idea of this kind of activation of the desire and of the things that you kind of were working on in Scorpio season. It's coming in the future. And in general, just your Scorpio house is going to get like a little power surge. So that's a good thing. We're happy about that. And then Tuesday's the last quarter moon in Leo. So there's a trine to Jupiter, and that is one of the last like happy Jupiter things for a while. So we'll just take it. It's good. Maybe it's a little over the top. It is a Leo after all, or maybe some drama, but it might be fun with Jupiter handing out candy, right? Spicy red hots, perhaps, from Sagittarius. And then Wednesday, the 20th, Mercury stations direct at 11 degrees Scorpio at 11 a.m. Pacific time, right? And so again, when Mercury stations direct, we have got a very still, it's a station change. You can't really, I mean, we've seen in the movies where people like run and jump on the trains, right? But mostly, the train comes to a stop and you step on and you stand there for a minute before the train starts moving. So this is what's happening. It's changing tracks. It's going to stop, final reflection and stillness, right, of Scorpio season. The sun's going to change signs this week as well, of the retrograde, right? And it's this kind of recalibration before this forward momentum will start taking Mercury back over 11 to 27 degrees Scorpio in your chart, right? And that when Mercury starts to move forward, that's when the things that you were kind of tooling around with, you actually can bring them out into the external. The retrograde's a very internal process, right? Certainly sometimes we see funny things happen in the outside world in Mercury retrograde, right? But the inner process it's very hidden in the retrograde, and then we'll bring it out with the forward movement. And then Friday, the 22nd, the sun changes signs, moves into Sagittarius. So I always think of this shift as kind of alchemizing all that water, like bringing the heat to the water. So there may be some steam, but it's kind of a light in the darkness, right? It is, I wrote freedom from the Scorpio dungeon. Anyway, Sagittarius season is a time of inspiration, a time of optimism and big picture thinking and looking to put things together, right? Looking for that unification principle. So it's pretty generous time of year. And especially for the first week or so, while the sun's ruler of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter, is still in Sagittarius, that's going to feel nice, right? So that happens. And because the sun moves into Sag, that weekend on Saturday, it'll make a trine to Chiron, like Venus did. So Venus first gave a little kiss, and now the sun is shining some light. And what really came to me was this lyrics from that Leonard Cohen song Anthem, where he says, "Ring the bells that can still ring, forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in," right? It's that hopeful light, that hopeful kind of healing ray from the sun in Sagittarius to that Chiron tender spot in your chart over there in Aries, okay? And then the much awaited happy moment with Venus happens on Sunday, the 24th. This is a Venus-Jupiter conjunction. So this is the two like helpful ambassadors of the stars, right? The planetary ambassadors, Venus and Jupiter, the benefics coming together, right? They're merging their energy in Sagittarius. And so the benefics are uniting, right? It feels like it can bring some good luck, right? It's very auspicious when Jupiter and Venus meet up in the sky. Visually, it will be, very beautiful. I haven't actually even seen Venus yet. Have you seen Venus yet on the horizon?
I haven't.
God, it's been so long. But, they're both the brightest things after the moon. So they should be really beautiful to be able to see them close to each other in the western sky after sunset. Maybe low on the horizon, maybe higher than I think, because I haven't seen. Jupiter's pretty low right now, getting lower. In any event, it's something cool, right? It's a good thing. And something kind of esoteric that's happening is that they're doing this aligned with the galactic center, right? Which is the center of our galaxy. So we're in the Milky Way galaxy, right? We're a spiral galaxy, and there's a center that we rotate around called the galactic center. And it's supposed to be a supermassive black hole that is at the center of our galaxy. And so it's got a lot of information and power. And whenever a planet moves over the galactic center, energetically, there can be some upgrades, right? Some new information, almost like maybe a reboot of the computer. So I think it's kind of cool that they're going to have this conjunction here in very late Sagittarius over the galactic. Wow. Yeah, right?
Amazing.
Sounds cool. So look in your chart, right? And just look around between 27 and 28 degrees. I think the actual conjunction is at 28. Let me just see. Yeah, 28 degrees Sagittarius. I feel like this is like the big last hurrah for Jupiter. Like Jupiter moves into Capricorn early December, on December 2nd. So this is like a very mature Jupiter, like recognizing that the party's almost over, right? Venus, and it's like kind of like I don't know, maybe a last dance or something between the benefics there over the galactic center, and just You know, how there's been some kind of big, I don't know, I'm seeing like a movie scene in my mind where there's been some kind of big party and like everybody's gone home, but there's that one couple that's kind of like dancing on the dance floor slowly together and just among like all the mess on the dance floor, you know, it's kind of crazy, but they're just out there just like together, cheek to cheek, and just that kind of energy, right? Because Jupiter's going to move into Capricorn and that's going to be some hard work, right? So this is a nice like check-in with your Jupiter Sagittarius year, right? And really think about what it is that you're willing to work hard for to bring forward when Jupiter moves into Capricorn next month.
So would you say that during this past year, we've done a lot of like exploring and trying and discovering and being curious about stuff so that next year we're going to just hunker down and make shit happen and build things? Is that kind of what's happened?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Jupiter is like a very expansive, exploratory kind of energy, very optimistic, like really wanting to keep hope alive and, you know, keep the song, keep the party going, you know, it can get a little excessive. So yeah, definitely. And again, it has been this like really nice thing consistently, right? You can always rely on at least the moon kind of giving an aspect to Jupiter throughout the month. Even when things get hard, it's like, okay, well, Jupiter's in Sagittarius, you know, and Jupiter in Capricorn, that's like Capricorn's Saturn's home. Saturn's the opposite of Jupiter. Saturn like contains and contracts, right? So, but you know, I think that we can get a lot done with Jupiter, especially if we can take the vision and kind of really reflect on what, like, it's like, what is left standing? Like, what is the most important thing? And what are you willing to work hard for? Because we're already working hard, but once Jupiter moves into Capricorn, then, you know, there's going to be some good things with Jupiter in Capricorn, especially when it meets up with Saturn. There's some new cycles.
A whole new level of work.
A whole new level of work.
Legacy building, right?
Yes. But we're getting, again, the end of Sagittarius is getting this like, that's like something's coming through right there. It's the galactic center. It's in your chart. And the benefics are having a last dance, right there. All right. So it sounds all fun, right? So beautiful. However, this day also has kind of a a volatile aspect that's happening once a year, which is Mars opposite Uranus. So this is Mars in Scorpio opposite Uranus in Taurus. So this is very unpredictable, potentially volatile, right? Maybe don't go bungee jumping today. I don't know if you've never done it before or something like that. Like, I just think twice before you do things, play with fire and things like that. However, you know, we can think about it that way and we can definitely take extra precautions. But I think it also has the capacity to shake you out of your complacency. Like if you kind of know it's the last dance of Jupiter and Sagittarius with Venus, you're like, okay, well, this party is actually over. So I got to wake up and decide what's worth making an effort to achieve, right? You can't just rely on Jupiter and Sagittarius anymore to just be along like handing out candy and making, you know, giving you $20 bills, stuffing them in your pocket and things like that. So I think that aspect definitely, I'm really curious to see how it plays out on the world stage. I think there's going to be some really interesting lies being spun right about then, but I do think on a personal level, it can really help us wake up, right? If you'd like it to. So is that worth the wait?
Yeah, that's a ton of really interesting things happening.
I think so. Yeah.
We're getting an upgrade from the galactic center.
Okay, get a galactic. And look to that in your chart and see what's there. You know, it's an interesting place to consider if you like to think of the larger cosmic conversation that's happening. And I do. The sun will go over the galactic center, of course, as well, right? Because the sun is moving into Sagittarius later in December, probably around solstice time. And so, anywho, so week 4, the last week of the month, we have a new moon this week, and we have a planet stationing direct Neptune. So let's start on Monday. Venus, she's the first to leave the party. She's moving into Capricorn through December 20th. So she won't be there as long as Jupiter. Jupiter will be there for a year, right? She'll just be there for a few weeks. And so she's just kind of settling down, cooling her jets, committing to the work at hand, right? In love and money, in love and relationships, first of all, practical and strategic. Problems with this could be feelings of unworthiness and putting up walls of self-protection to stay safe. Capricorn safety first. Happily, Venus will be out of Capricorn before eclipse season. So hurrah. And the other benefit I thought of, side benefit to Venus and Capricorn, maybe it'll help you budget for your holiday spending because you'll feel a little like maybe I shouldn't buy that thing. Maybe I should really think about how I'm going to spend this money. Maybe I should have a budget and not overspend or not overdo it. So I thought that could be a useful way because Venus does have a connection with money and finance, right? So get a little more conservative with your pocketbook and just not sort of conservative, but like practical and realistic, right? What can you afford?
Back to love.
I would say that again, like what are, commitments, like the work at hand to make the commitment work. Saturn, Capricorn ruled by Saturn, like structure, commitments, long-term planning, things like that. So maybe you feel a little work because again, Capricorn, Venus will be going opposite where she got beat up during eclipse season in the summer when in Cancer, and Capricorn is a thorny terrain, rocky, not the most pleasant place to be these days, but still, I just think that practical strategies, commitments. What are you going to commit to? Make a contract if you're that kind of person. What's your role? What's your part? What's the other person's? Get really clear on your agreements. Focus, right? Yeah.
And that's not just like love, right? That could be like business partnerships or any kind of relationships.
Sure. Relationships. Yeah. Definitely love, but yes, relationships. Value. Relationships of value. Like, what do you value? What are your values? Right? So not necessarily your relationship with your barista, unless your barista is giving you free coffee. Okay. But maybe with your UPS driver, because she always brings you your packages first. I don't know. You got to decide. Tuesday is the new moon in Sagittarius. Okay. This is at 4 degrees Sagittarius. I wrote a lot about this. So I got all like thinking, right? Because Sagittarius is moving into Capricorn very soon. And so I got to thinking, wow, well, we had our new moon in Sagittarius last year. Had Jupiter moved into Sagittarius? Yes. So I looked it up, and yes, indeed, the last new moon in Sagittarius was on December 6th, and Jupiter was fresh into Sag, right? It was at 6 degrees Sagittarius for the new moon. And so I feel like, with Sagittarius energy, of course, we are looking at the big picture, dreaming and visioning. We like to think about the archer kind of taking aim, right? Shooting your arrow. And like in archery, you have to adjust. You have to shoot higher than your target because gravity will pull the arrow down, right? But you don't want to shoot too high and overshoot. So I feel like with this new moon this year, Jupiter is now, he's old Jupiter, right? He's been moving through Sagittarius, is finishing up this time here. And I feel like this is a time to kind of look at what you were wishing for a year ago. What truths did you learn about your dreams? What dreams did you take aim for that didn't work out, right? What do you want to aim for now that you have the information that you have now a year later, right? So it's kind of like, and it's another song because, I'm in musical theater class and I'm singing a song from Hamilton. So Hamilton's on my mind. And the song that came to my mind about this was I'm Not Throwing Away My Shot by Hamilton, when he's just like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up my opportunity, right? But your idea about your opportunity may have shifted, right? Because Jupiter is finishing up this time and moving into Capricorn soon, right? So I think that's a bigger reflection and getting toward the end of the year in a sense. So I feel like make some time to consider this. Again, it's a Tuesday. I've taken Tuesdays off in November to enjoy the moons. But, with Venus moving into Capricorn, you're going to feel more like focused, right? And what's really important, right? So yeah, the moon itself is conjunct an asteroid, Pallas Athena. And so she's really, really good at strategy as well. And trining Chiron, right? And Venus will making that square to Chiron. So there is this, I feel like that's where you're going to maybe feel the burn, like the Venus Chiron square of where you missed your mark. But it's really just an opportunity to open up to a new, more mature vision and possibility. Again, you're not going to throw away your shot. You're just going to take another aim and decide if you even want to shoot in the same direction, right? Or maybe you've changed your direction. Maybe you've changed. You probably have, right? So it's a more refined vision, I think. And we're going into 2020. It feels ominous, right? So it's again, last dance of this, I don't know, decade, right? So that sounds all heavy, but any questions on that? Because I have another weird little esoteric thing that I noticed when I was looking back at the charts. Do you have any
No, it
questions
just sounds
or thoughts?
exciting. It just sounds like preparatory. It sounds like we've been through a lot that's preparing us for what's to come. Sounds exciting.
I agree. The other thing that I found, because I was like, okay, so it's conjunct Pallas Athena, this new moon, right? Pallas Athena is at 7 degrees. Well, in that 2018 new moon in Sagittarius chart, Jupiter, Pallas Athena's father in mythology, was at 6 degrees. So I feel like Pallas Athena is the emissary for Jupiter, right? So she's going to be, I don't know, this is just my weird thought about it, but she's going to be in Sagittarius through the 19th of January next year. And so I feel like she's going to have some wisdom to carry us through eclipse season. Like she's going to her dad, Jupiter, is at the end of Sagittarius, reflecting over the year. And she's there in that position where almost like things started out with the new moon in Sagittarius with Jupiter. And so she's kind of picking up. And in mythology, Pallas Athena is often Zeus's emissary. She often he sends her off to like a battle and gives her weapons or whatever. So I thought it was so cool that she was there. And, she's one of the bigger asteroids, one of the asteroids that I look at in my chart for sure. And so she's going to have some wisdom, some big picture thinking to help carry us through the rest of the year into eclipse season. And really, I think through some of the harder craziness that happens when we get to eclipse season and early January. So look to 6-7 degrees Sagittarius. That's where Pallas Athena is. And then I fast forwarded to the full moon in Sagittarius next year, just to kind of see, because that's the 6-month timeline we can work with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, likewise, we can think of the full moon in Taurus and look back 6 months to the new moon in Taurus and see what is blooming. But we'll stay here with this Sag new moon. The full moon in Sagittarius is going to be on June 5th, and it's going to be an eclipse. It sounds like it's potent. There's just some potency here. It's a very minor eclipse, but it's still very interesting, right? It's very interesting. So that's what I have to say about all that.
So we're laying the groundwork or planting the seeds Tuesday, November 26th, that will sort of come to fruition June 5th.
6 months.
2020.
Yeah. I mean, certainly it's that new moon in Sag, and then the full moon in Sag is 6 months later. The 6-month timelines are really kind of nice, realistic arcs of time to work with lunar energy, and they're manageable. You can remember 6 months ago. It's not too long ago. I mean, certainly like if things are moving really quickly, you can achieve something in a lunar cycle. But 6 months is a very practical timeline to actually make something happen, right? Something bigger. And this is Sagittarius, so it's a big, big thing. It's not like Sagittarius is visionary, right? So yeah, you're not throwing away your shot. You just might be, and go listen to the song if you don't know it, because Hamilton, yay. And then on Wednesday, the next day, Neptune stations direct at 15 degrees Pisces. So it's like Neptune retrograde is a long summer's nap. I don't know. It's like a little like snoozing been going on. And Neptune's like, there's a square from the moon in Sagittarius to Neptune. And it feels like this is kind of the activation or the alarm clock. Okay, it's time to wake up, right? It's time to kind of get out of this like sleepwalking dreamy and going to have to begin to activate the dreams and visions and things that Neptune's been reviewing in your chart since solstice, June 21st, when Neptune stationed retrograde, right? So I wrote suspended animation because Neptune's going to sit there at 15 degrees for a while. But it's kind of this kind of, when you wake up from a dream and you're trying to remember your dream, especially if you had a very vivid dream and you just kind of like lay there and be still and kind of put yourself back in it to get the messages. If you get up too fast or look at your phone or whatever, the dream will just dissolve like a soap bubble. So, this is a holiday week for many in this country. It's going to be Thanksgiving the next day. So you have maybe time to slow down unless you're at the grocery store trying to buy food the day before Thanksgiving. And if you are, you're completely insane. So don't do it. Make some better planning, people. Unless you live in San Luis Obispo and like nobody's at the stores. Again, I digress into who knows where. So Neptune stations direct. And on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving where I live, we got a fair bit of activity happening that day. Mercury is now direct, right? and it pings, right? It's pinging Neptune, who just woke up from a nap. Okay. This first ping happened middle of October with Mercury direct, made that trine to Neptune. And then this month around the 13th during the retrograde, and now they're both direct. So something's kind of like, oh, right? There's some patterns or something very creative and intuitive and interesting that can help move something forward or begin to get the idea of how to move it forward, right? I feel like it could be good conversation pieces for even the day if people are seeing family and whatnot. There's going to be a desire to have some deep conversations, I think. That day also, the moon early morning will be in Sagittarius, so it'll make a conjunction to Jupiter, the like very last kind of moon Jupiter conjunction in Sagittarius for 12 years, right? And it's Jupiter's day, so that feels nice, that feels auspicious. Of course, the moon will move into Capricorn for the rest of the day, so you had some good dreams, you woke up in a good mood. How can you maintain this optimism when you go hang out with your family? That's your job. That's your mission, should you choose to accomplish it or just take the day off. And then Venus will trine Uranus the same day. And I thought, well, Venus and Capricorn, that's like Capricorn's traditions and Uranus is like innovation. So maybe there's just some like new holiday traditions based on your updated values. Like, how can you make change feel good? What's something, maybe you want to be the person to try to, introduce a new idea about connecting for Thanksgiving and getting to the idea about what it means to break bread with people that you love rather than all the baggage that comes along with it, right? So yeah, that's Thursday. And then we end the month with Mercury pinging Saturn, the sextile to Saturn that happened, of course, again, mid-October, mid-November, and now Mercury's direct. It's happening the 29th where I live, Friday the 30th for some of you. And so you're starting to maybe even, it's the thoughts made real, right? Seeing some results and getting some ideas about how to bring the practical solutions into form, right? Saturn and Capricorn. So that's the month.
I love this month. Oh, I just remember too, we got some goods to help y'all with this month.
Finally, just like steamrolled. I steamrolled through November. It was a marathon. Anything to get out of this hot room. What you got, girl?
Yeah, so if you are in the Flower Evolution program, we are working with the creature essence called Scorpion. It is now officially my favorite flower essence ever. It is amazing. If you're not in the Flower Evolution program, you can join and receive the Scorpion elixir up to like November 15th or so. And if you're not in the Flower Evolution, the one to be focusing on or using is Truth Teller. So first I'm going to go over Scorpion because it's awesome. No scorpions were harmed in the making. Just got to put that out there. But it's kind of like Scorpio, right? It's kind of funny that Scorpion is during Scorpio month, or at least a part of it. The essence is about so many different things, about using the energy that's hidden to work through transformation, purification, expansion. It can help you utilize sexual energy in a different way to transmute it into creative projects. It can help you speak your truth more powerfully. It has something to do also with sound healing. Can inspire in you this deep knowingness that is non-earthly. Like it's just, something very unique to you. And it helps you find your voice from a place of power that is super aligned. If you think about the Scorpion, obviously, right, it's like super powerful. I have them in my house occasionally, and I can just say their aura is like tremendous because I can just be like doughboy walking down the hallway and suddenly my whole awareness is like to this like funny beige, right? Who sees beige? To this little beige color on the floor, and it's a Scorpion. It's like your whole body knows, even though your mental mind doesn't know. They're poisonous. It stings a lot. In a way, it's sort of like the sword of truth. So using all of that incredible energy for your benefit. And then if you're not in the Flower Revolution, ain't no thing, work with Truth Teller. It's all about transmuting anger, frustration, and fear into advocacy for yourself and others. It's about improving the skills of communication, speaking your truth, saying things that your mental mind might think, oh, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. But if that's the truth, then that's the truth. So finding ways to make forward movement through speaking your truth.
Perfect. 100% aligned. I've started using both of them. I really love the Scorpion as well. And I'm pretty happy that, because I'm doing musical theater again and working with my voice. So I also think when you said something about unearthly or something, I thought about the galactic center also, right? Because that like off planet, but galactic kind of energy. So,
oh, that's crazy, because I had no idea why.
Of course you have no idea. I know, but you're always so tuned into it. That's where this whole little collaboration came from, was like me being like, Katie, what are you doing back there? You're matching the astrology, you're matching the eclipse. What's going on?
That's so funny. Even as it came out of my mouth, I was like, what am I actually saying?
And I was like, galactic. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was like, galactic center. Oh,
insights from the black hole.
Right? You got to get them where you can. I think that's fabulous. That's good medicine. Well, how did you make it then?
Well, I caught one.
Okay. How did you catch it? I'm just curious. I catch spiders, but I've never caught a scorpion.
It showed up in my house, and I don't remember what was happening at the time, but the timing of it seemed really auspicious. Every time I see a scorpion, I typically kind of stop and reflect on what's happening, because I always see scorpions as auspicious, even though they're potent and poisonous. So I can't remember what was happening at the time, but it seemed really meaningful. And so I asked the little guy permission and, put it into a jar and put a little bit of water in, and
there we go. So I heard recently, and I don't know if this is true or if you know, that when scorpions eat their prey, they kind of break it into small little pieces before they eat it. And that's like so Scorpio, to like break things down into little pieces so that you can assimilate and, digest. And I also think also with the Scorpio archetype, the scorpion is only one of the symbols. We also have like the phoenix, which is taking that poison and transmuting it and rebirthing something from this alchemy, right? And it sounds like there's a lot of alchemy in this elixir and a lot of alchemy in the astrology, especially with Mercury retrograde for this cycle. I mean, it's so perfect. I love it. Purification, that's also very scorpionic. Perfect. Okay. Wow, you did it again. She did it again, everyone. Katie Hess.
I once saw a scorpion. This is many years ago here in Arizona. And it was like hanging sideways on like a gate, holding a cockroach. I guess it was going to eat the cockroach. It's so gross, but
yeah, yum. Cockroach.
Thanksgiving stuffing. No.
Crunchy.
It's terrible. But
hey, it's extra protein and whatever.
No, it was amazing, because you don't think of scorpions as being able to like scale walls. Like,
I don't know. They don't climb walls. I don't know. Scorpions are mysterious to me.
Well, it scaled the gate. So it was like, fully sideways, hanging upside down, holding onto this bug.
Was the bug alive? Was it struggling? Was it like waving its little feet, or was it already dead?
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry, I'm getting into the details, but I'm like,
no, I think it wasn't fully dead.
Oh yeah, well, Mother Nature, she's rough.
But you know what that had me thinking is, since I take Scorpion like 7 to 10 days before everyone else does, I've noticed it is a very powerful motivator for movement and like high intensity movement. Not necessarily you want to like go scale a mountain, but if you've been looking for a good time to just sort of like revise your routine or see what works for your body or explore things, I don't know what you say about the astrology for this time.
I think about shedding, right? Scorpio season is shedding, and you need to get active. You can't just lay around. Your skin won't just shed off. You have to like move. You have to get active to begin the shedding process, right? So that movement, friction,
intensity.
Yeah. Bite me, baby, bite me. Vampires, scorpions, vampires, Mercury retrograde. It's spooky. It's kind of exciting. I'm excited too. I think it's I don't know why. I like Scorpio season, and I'm looking forward to November as well. I think it's going to be, I think what am I trying to say? I just think that there's a lot of opportunities for some very, very, Scorpio season's always about deep transformation, but this year it's like amplified, right? And so get your support systems, set yourself up to have an experience of depth and profundity, because it really is yours for the having if you'd like it to be, right? I feel like we have the opportunity to really break through some calcified patterns episodes. So
love it. Okay. So as we come to a close and complete the session of Moonshine, do we want to just go over like very, very high level top summary?
Yeah. Mercury retrograde, Mercury retrograde, Mercury retrograde. So, diving deep to transform your toxins and your poisons and your calcified areas, like making them more fluid, composting, taking out the garbage, shedding skins, all of that. Venus and Mars, so we have Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all personal planets. Mercury is in retrograde, doing some deep work. Both Venus right away gets happier, and then Mars right before Mercury stations direct changes into a sign of power. So we got some real energetic shifts in the personal planets this month. Delicious full moon. You're not going to throw away your shot with Jupiter in Sag and the new moon in Sag, right? Those are some of the biggies, I'd say.
Sounds great.
And don't forget to mark the 24th for the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. Again, though, there is that Mars-Uranus opposition that day. So, I'm giving you...
Get too excited.
Get excited, but just be smart. Don't just... That's a volatile aspect. Mars and Uranus and Scorpio, Taurus. I mean, hey, I won't go there. Okay, never mind. I was going to go somewhere, and Scorpio was taking me down into a dungeon. No, I was going into a Scorpio dungeon.
Oh,
so
okay.
You can just imagine where my mind is going. Okay.
As we should mention that if any of I know Kristina mentioned a lot of like degrees and areas of things where if you specifically want to understand your chart better, what it means exactly for you, because this is a very brushstroke kind of overall for humanity. Look at things if you want to know specifically what this is doing to your chart. Feel free to reach out to Kristina Wingeier. She does individual sessions. She's awesome.
Yes, thank you. And I have something new that I've been playing with that's been really fun and very, very insightful for people from the feedback I've been getting, which is where I'm doing stars and cards. I'm combining astrology and tarot, and in where you just ask me for direction or guidance on like one question, one area of your life, and I will draw a tarot card or a couple of cards depending on your choice and look at your charts, and then I'll make an audio for you that's between 10 and 15 minutes. And everybody that I have done this for, and people are asking all kinds of questions. Some are very elaborate, some it's like very simple, some it's like these serious like turning points in their lives, and everyone has written back and said, oh my God, that was so on point. And I don't always know that. I'm not having a conversation with this person. So this is a really inexpensive way if you don't feel like you want some insight, but you can't like afford a full consult, or you just don't feel like you like whatever. Like it's $25 for one card, and an audio. You get a picture of the card and a little audio from me.
And not just the card, it's also you're taking into account their birth information.
Yeah, I'm looking at stars and cards together. So that combination, like the tarot card, is that visual kind of, I have a deep relationship with the tarot, and it gives a picture, which is always helpful.
So fun.
Think about that. And then I look at your charts, and I'm just telling you, man, the feedback has been really good. So I think they're useful, and it's not that expensive. So
no, it's not. It's super affordable. Can you divulge anonymously, like just some of the like wild types of questions that folks are asking you?
Well, like someone asked me, let's see, definitely got some relationship questions. Like somebody was at a turning point in their relationship, was kind of wondering about which direction to take. And I was able to help that person just really understand their priorities, like, rather than which direction, but what do you really want? And like helping them hone in on that. Somebody asked me something about being in like graduate school, and they felt like their brain was overwhelmed. And so I just was able to kind of help them understand how their brain processes information based on what I was seeing in the chart, and like give them some strategies for setting themselves up for a more successful experience. And, what else? I don't know. I think, just like all kinds of questions, work stuff, but they're all very unique. And I just really think that the combination of the tarot and the astrology is very precise, and can really, I'm good at just getting that. And that's one thing, right? One thing. It's good.
Everybody's got one thing.
Most
important thing, right?
Yeah. So those are fun. And I really love doing them because I think they're very helpful. And you can listen to the audio over and over again. Like, it's easy. You have the picture, you can put it on your iPhone screen or whatever to look at the imagery.
That's actually really helpful, even just the exercise of like making it be one thing, of like forcing people into like, what is your one thing right now? That's just even having, like, even for the listeners right now, if you don't do this with Kristina, even just having the awareness of like, what's your one thing right now? What's your most important? What's your priority? What's the thing that you're kind of mulling over in your life? That's a good awareness to have.
Exactly. I mean, someone came back right away. It's like, can I do a follow-up question? You have another question? I was like, sure. So that was like, that was good.
Second thing.
Or sometimes you have a follow-up question to the thing, So I actually have a two for, have one and a follow-up question for a little bit of savings. So if you think you have two things, you can ask one thing at a time or whatever. It's really fun. I really love it. And it's helping people. And that's what's most important. Me having fun and people telling me that it's helping, that's a win-win situation. So
absolutely. Sounds like so much fun. Stars and cards.
Stars and cards, baby. All right.
Okay, so find Kristina at KristinaWingeier.com, and then we'll also put up the blog post with all these goodies and the whole timeline of everything we talked about on the Sun Center Phoenix blog.
Where is it? Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're so grateful. I get people coming all the time from the podcast, and we get this feedback that you're listening and that it's helpful. And that's the most important thing for us. And we love having conversations, even when Kristina takes over the conversation and talks. But, it really is this dialogue between Katie and me, and there's something magical about us coming together, and we're just here to serve you. So thank you for listening. It's been almost 2 years, I think, right?
It's insane. It's so wonderful. And it's, grateful to the listeners, and grateful when people reach out and say that they're loving the information and the insights, because that just fuels us to keep going.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy November. Thank you so much for listening to The Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.